Welcome into Locked On Phillies. The Phils squander a golden opportunity in San Diego. They lose to the Padres after having a 4-run lead, and now the series shifts back to Philadelphia. We'll discuss everything from the tough loss on today's Locked On Phillies.
You are Locked On Phillies, your daily Philadelphia Phillies podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Yes, this is Locked On Phillies. I'm your host, Connor Thomas, former collegiate semi-pro baseball player. Been talking Philly sports for years on the radio with 97.5 The Fanatic. Happy to be here with you as your host of Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We are, as always, free and available wherever you get your podcasts, available on YouTube, available on the Odyssey app. Go ahead and check us out anywhere. Now, let's dive into it. Yesterday was just not a great game by your Philadelphia Phillies. They had won game one by a score of 2-0 behind a Bryce Harper and Kyle Schwarber solo home runs and an excellent pitching outing by Zach Wheeler. Great. You're 1-0 in San Diego. You wanted a split. Everything's good. And now you have the opportunity to get even more. And then yesterday's game happens, and you jump out to a 4-0 lead early with Aaron Nola on the mound. You're facing Blake Snell, and Blake Snell didn't look his usual sharp self, I guess you could say, early in the game. He wasn't terrible, but there were some weird plays in the field, mainly a fly ball to right field that got caught in the sun that Juan Soto just didn't see. And, the second inning saw the Philadelphia Phillies hang 4 runs on the San Diego Padres. Alec Boehm had an RBI single. Matt Vierling had an RBI double. Edmundo Sosa had an RBI single. Kyle Schwarber had an RBI fielder's choice. And it's 4-0. You have Aaron Nola on the mound. You're feeling very, very comfortable with where you are. And now all you have to do is, hold on to the lead. And they couldn't. Immediately they give up a home run to Brandon Drury. Then Josh Bell homers in the same inning, both in the bottom of the second in response to the 4-run inning by the Phillies. And it was all Padres the rest of the way. The bottom of the fifth inning was terrible. It started with Austin Nola beating his brother Aaron Nola by hitting an RBI single to right, scoring Ha-Seong Kim from first who was stealing second base. What are you going to do there? You try to go up on your brother and he beat you. That sucks. You got him the first time. He got you the second time. That's tough. Then Juan Soto hit an RBI double in the same inning, scoring Austin Nola. Brandon Drury hit an RBI single to center, scoring Jurickson Profar and Juan Soto. It was just a bad fifth inning. And then Josh Bell singled to right for his second RBI of the night, scoring Jake Cronenworth. The Padres batted around in the bottom of the fifth inning. It was absolutely terrible. Brad Hand came in, and he was not much better. He gave up runs as well. It was not good work by the Philadelphia Phillies, by Aaron Nola and the bullpen. There was a point in the top of the second when Kyle Schwarber scored or hit that RBI for the fourth run of the game. The Phillies had an 85.2% chance to win, the highest they'd had that game. Well, that 14.8%. Yeah, it happened. The Padres came all the way back. They end up winning by a score of 8-5. Now, Rhys Hoskins is a solo homer to left in the eighth inning. Nice. Shows you can score off the Padres bullpen. Mentally, that's a nice hurdle to get over because their bullpen's really good. But here's my biggest problem with it. And I was losing my mind on Twitter last night. And I was getting a bunch of responses. It was weird, right? I put out tweets basically saying, wow, they collapsed. They fell apart because they were up 4. And then you can't, with arguably your best pitcher on the mound in Aaron Nola, you can't lose a 4-run lead in a playoff game. It can't happen. It's too much of an opportunity to waste. I didn't say the series was over or anything like that, but momentum had changed, and I felt that they had squandered a major opportunity. Then I saw other tweets from people I work with over at 97.5 The Fanatic saying, why is everyone mad? You wanted to split. It's just one game. It happens. Shake it. People are acting like the series is over. I was getting ripped by people saying, what are you freaking out for? It's you're getting a split in San Diego. The series isn't over, which none of that I ever said. And the guy who said what they're mad at me for He was getting ripped apart by people saying, how could you say this is okay? It's a blown opportunity. So people are all over the place right now. Here's the best way I can summarize my thoughts on what happened yesterday. The Philadelphia Phillies are absolutely fine in the series. They came back 1-1. That's what you wanted from the road trip. They accomplished through their first 2 games the goal that they should have set out for, which is win 1 game on the road in San Diego, steal home field advantage, make it a short 5-game series, coming back with 3 games in Philadelphia. There's still a chance that the Philadelphia Phillies do not have to get on a plane to go back to the West Coast again. That might have been the last game at Petco Park for the Padres because the Phillies could very well win 3 at home and call this a series. But it's still a huge missed opportunity. It doesn't affect, to me, and maybe you'll disagree with this, but it doesn't affect the game Friday or Saturday or Sunday or even Monday and Tuesday back in San Diego if they go there. What it does affect is what happened in the moment. You had a 4-run lead, an 85% chance to win, according to ESPN's win probability predictor. And you squandered an opportunity to be up 2-0 where it looks like it's a virtual lock you're going to the World Series. You had him on the mat. You let him up. Now, if Floyd Mayweather is boxing me and he has me on the mat and lets me up, I'm still probably going to lose that fight. And I'm not saying the Phillies are Floyd Mayweather. I'm not saying the Padres would be me in this instance. I'm just saying letting someone up off the mat doesn't mean that you're going to lose the fight. All it means is that you had a really, really good opportunity and you didn't take advantage of it. That's something that you should always be upset about, whether it's game 1 or it's game 169, 170, whatever game that was last night on the Philadelphia Phillies season. Let's see, 2 against the Cardinals, 4 against the Braves. That's 6. So that would be 168 or 69. Yeah, game 170. So whether it's the first game of the year or a playoff game in the NLCS, you can't squander opportunities like that, especially against the Padres team that is as talented as you are. So, yeah, that sucks. That in the moment, that was a really, really bad outcome. In a vacuum of those 9 innings, the Philadelphia Phillies had a very, very bad night of baseball. But the series is not a 9-inning series. And the other thing that should make you feel good, I don't know if you remember this, but the NLDS against the Atlanta Braves, yeah, that was the Zach Wheeler start where Rhys Hoskins made the error. They lose 3-0. And I go on Twitter and I say, well, not only did Rhys Hoskins cost them probably this game, but he cost them momentum in this series with that error and leading to the loss. And everyone was like, well, the series isn't over. What are you talking about? You got the split in Atlanta. And then all the Phillies did was came back up here to Citizens Bank Park and beat the ever-living you-know-what out of the Atlanta Braves in 2 games and called it. There's no guarantee it won't happen again against San Diego. And the Phillies are clearly a better team when they have the home crowd going behind them. And that environment is going to be crazy tomorrow night at Citizens Bank Park. So, yeah, I had these same emotions in the last series. And it happened. And then they recovered fine and played like that. And they had never lost the game that Zach Wheeler had pitched. Maybe that's going to happen again. So the comforting thing is when this team was faced with this exact scenario in the last series, they ended up winning out the rest of the way and winning the series easily. Good? Yeah, good. Got no issues with that. My main issue, and people took it as kind of like a giving up on the Phillies for the series. Some people did. Not everybody, but some people did. My main issue is that you were presented with a really, really good opportunity and you couldn't hold the lead. The other thing I saw that I want to address real quick about bringing in Brad Hand, and some people were upset that that was the move that Rob Thompson went with. I don't know, man. Like, were there other guys you could throw? Could you have gone Zach Eflin and maybe hoped he went a little bit longer? Sure. Could you have gone Bailey Falter, who they seem to be terrified to throw in the postseason for some reason, and had him give you 2-3 innings? Sure. Could you have potentially gone Syndergaard depending on where you want to start him next? I mean, I guess. And Alvarado and Sir Anthony were both available. Like, yeah, those guys could have thrown. But Brad Hand is your second best left-handed reliever. Like, you can't throw Alvarado every single game where you need a lefty up. Brad Hand was the next guy in line. He literally went in just to face Jake Cronenworth. And Rob Thompson, after the game, was annoyed with the you have to pitch the 3 batters rule, or else he would have taken Brad Hand out when he hit Jake Cronenworth in that 5th inning that turned into more runs for the San Diego Padres. So I didn't have an issue with the move at the time. I understand the result wasn't great, but I don't have an issue with what Rob Thompson did there with Brad Hand. So it was a tough game one, or game two, rather. But you come back with a split, and now you head into 3 games at home against the San Diego Padres. Coming up next, I'm going to talk to you not specifically about the game tomorrow, because we'll have a preview about that tomorrow, Friday, before the game gets going. 7:30, I believe, Eastern Standard Time, 7:37, something like that. But I want to look at the series in general, the kind of trends of the series so far, some historical trends of how the Philadelphia Phillies have done in these situations, and what it means just going forward, just to maybe ease your nerves a little bit on everything like that. So we will discuss that coming up next in the next segment of Locked On Phillies. Okay, guess what time it is? It is time to reinvent the dress shirt. Yeah, I know. The dress shirt's existed forever. How do you reinvent it? Just ask my friends over at Roan, because they've done it. The dress shirt was due for a radical reinvention. I mean, we know how uncomfortable those things are. And what Roan did was, well, they stepped up to the challenge. They got it done. Roan's commuter shirt. It's called the commuter shirt because you're talking about a commute to work and you want to be comfortable on your way in, on your way home. Maybe if you're going to do something after work. Well, their commuter shirt is the most comfortable, breathable, and flexible shirt known to man, aliens, dolphins, elephants, anybody, any animal, any being, anywhere. It's Roan's commuter shirt. It's awesome. Listen to what they've got. They got 4-way stretch fabric. That's breathability and flexibility. They've got wrinkle-free technology. Listen to this. With Roan's wrinkle release technology, wrinkles disappear as you stretch and wear the shirt. So literally all you have to do is put it on and the wrinkles, well, they buff right out. It's perfect. It's also odor-free. Gold Fusion anti-odor technology. You're going to be smelling great. So listen, if you want a shirt that you can wear to the office and feel comfortable in, like you're wearing a dry fit t-shirt, well, look no further than Roan's commuter shirt. It's absolutely awesome. Like, I don't know what you're waiting for. If you find me a dress shirt that actually is comfortable to wear, not one that's baggy and looks bad, but is a little bit less restricting, not one that, plus a really cool look. Roan just has like high style level. Like you can check this out. And it's not like something that you get out of a box at a department store. No, this is a good looking shirt, a comfortable shirt, and one that'll not only make you look good, but it'll make you feel good throughout a long work day. So what I want you to do is go to roan.com/locked on and use promo code locked on to save 20% off your entire order. That's 20% off your entire order when you head to RHONE.com/locked on and use code locked on. It's time to find your corner office comfort. All right, let's talk about the trends of the series to feel a little bit more comfortable about where the Philadelphia Phillies are right now. Because there's something interesting in the history of the Philadelphia Phillies that I want to lead off with and talk about a little bit. We're not specifically previewing the next game. It'll be Ranger Suarez against Joe Musgrove, and that's interesting. But here's the stat that we'll start with. So the Philadelphia Phillies have played 8 game twos on the road in series of 5 games or more. So what that is NLDS, NLCS, World Series being the away team. So that they play 2 games on the road. And what that would be is game 1 is on the road, game 2 is on the road, and then game 3 is back at home. And some are different setups because game 5 or series of 5 games or series of 7 games. And then, for example, like the wild card series this year, there's only 3 games wouldn't count. So it's 5 games or more in a series. Do you know what the Phillies are in game 2 of those opportunities? They are 0-8 all time. They haven't won a single darn one of them. It happened in the World Series. It happened in the NLDS against the Braves. It just anytime the Philadelphia Phillies have been the away team, they have lost game 2 when it's on the road. What are you going to do? I mean, it sucks. It's not ideal. It's not like, yay, thank goodness, this team stinks in game 2s. But we saw it already this year. We've seen it in years past, and they've been fine a lot of the time. I understand they only have 2 World Series to their name, but come on, guys. They did it in those years. They did it in 93. Like, this team has historical data that shows game 2, a loss. You can absolutely come back from that. And this organization, even though it's not these players, well, it shows that they're capable, perfectly capable of still winning this series. Maybe even favorable that they win this series. You know what I'm actually going to do? I'm going to pull up real quick, the odds on the series to see what we've got. Sorry, I clicked the champagne bottle from the NLDS victory over the Atlanta Braves. Bringing the champagne bottle right here while I pull this up. You see that on YouTube? Yeah. Hopefully, we're popping another one of those soon. But I'm going to go to the MLB tab here. I'm going to look at futures bets for the series, and I'm going to see what the odds are for the National League series right now. Okay. For anyone who's still worried about the entirety of the series, the odds right now, Philadelphia Phillies, San Diego Padres, both are minus 110. It's dead even that the Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres win the series. It's a pick 'em. It's a coin flip. This is a brand new series. This is a 5-game series. And here's what I'll say, right? Everyone who's worried, like, oh, well, yeah, it's a 5-game series, but now Ranger Suarez throws, and then you probably have a bullpen game on Saturday. Like Ranger Suarez will throw Friday's game, bullpen game Saturday. You're facing Joe Musgrove. You might face Sean Manaea on Saturday. We'll see who the Padres throw out in Game 4. But you're at a pitching disadvantage. I mean, technically, yeah, you're at a pitching disadvantage. Let's pretend I didn't say what I just said. you're at a pitching disadvantage in the next couple games. Excuse me, pardon my my accidental language there, but you still have Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola throwing. They're just not throwing the first 2 games. And in a series of 5 games, you have 2 of your best pitchers throwing. You just need to find one other game. That's fine. If you trust Aaron Nola to win, which it's tough to trust him after that game, but like he'll bounce back. He's had bad performances before. More often than not, he's a really, really good pitcher. Zach Wheeler has been outstanding the whole way through. Trust him as well. San Diego couldn't touch him, and they couldn't touch him in the game he threw against them in the regular season, even though that game was a 1-0 Phillies loss. But still, you just have to find a way to win one of the 3 games. That's fine. I'll take my chances with that because I got 2 guys I really trust and a team I really trust and 3 games at home, 2 of which are not going to be thrown by Zach Wheeler and Aaron Nola. So it kind of works out. If you're going to have pitchers throw that you don't really trust, you'd almost rather them be games at home against the lesser pitchers on the opposing staff. If that's what you want, well, the Phillies are set up just for that. So that's a good sign. And we saw good stuff from Ranger Suarez in the short outing that he had against the Braves. Like they won that game, even though he only went 3 1/3 innings and his command was kind of crazy. It was on the road. And what he did was he danced out of danger. He pitched tough pitching. It was very mentally tough pitching, even if it wasn't the prettiest pitching. That's good. And Noah Syndergaard, when he made the start, if he is indeed the starter for Saturday, well, he was dominant against the Braves, even if it was just a couple times out there on the mound. One time through the order was, I think, what it ultimately was. Maybe a little bit more than that. But yeah, it's not the ideal thing. The ideal thing would be coming back up 2-0, taking advantage of that 4-0 lead early that the Padres basically gifted you and going ahead there. But man, that's not always reality. What are you going to do? You got to work with the hand you're dealt. And right now, the hand that the Phillies are dealt is you got a 5-game series with Aaron Nola and Zach Wheeler throwing what would be games 3 and 4 of that 5-game series, which actually end up being games 5 and 6 of this series. So, hey, 3 and 4 will have to be on Suarez and the bullpen and whoever they decide is going to start Saturday. But there are worse setups. Statistically, it shows you that the Phillies, even though they're terrible in Game 2 in these long series where they're the away team early, they can bounce back. And the series odds are dead even. That's fine. If you told me that coming out of San Diego, in a vacuum, I would have taken it. If you wipe away, and that's what the Philadelphia Phillies are doing today on their off day. They're wiping away what happened yesterday. They're not concerned with what happened in San Diego in Game 2. We should do the same as a fan base. If you wipe that away, mission accomplished on the West Coast. Now here's what we need to do. Well, I'll tell you what we need to do, but I'll tell you it coming up as we wrap up Locked On Phillies and give you the fan perspective of our goal for the next 3 days, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Yeah, it's going to be a fun time. Okay, what's our goal as a fan base? To make this place a living hell for the San Diego Padres. I don't know if you heard what that stadium was like out there because your volume might not have been turned up high enough to hear it. They were not all that loud at their Petco Park. They're a casual fan base. They are. Listen, a good casual fan base, a excited casual fan base, and one with a pretty darn good baseball team. Listen, it's not fan base against fan base, but it kind of is. More so, it's baseball team against baseball team. But when they're evenly matched, the fan base can make a difference. And in San Diego, the fan base didn't make a difference. The Phillies kind of collapsed in on themselves in the fifth inning. And that was not because the pressure put on by the fan base. It was just Aaron Nola had one of those games where he got touched up a little bit. He hasn't had one of those in about 2.5, 3 weeks. So, hey, what are you going to do? You run into one. Hopefully he bounces back later in the series. But let's show the San Diego Padres what a real playoff environment is like. I know they went to New York and played the Mets. We're a better fan base than the Mets. And think about the circumstances of that series. They went up and played the Mets after the Mets had just gotten chased down in the NL East race. They lost to the Braves. They're in a wild card series they didn't want to be in. The sky was already falling in New York. That fan base was not totally into it. They believed that they were choking, and they were. Then you play the Dodgers. I get the Dodgers are a really good team. And Dodger Park, Dodger Field, Dodger Stadium, that's the word I'm looking for. Dodger Stadium is filled to the brim all the time, but it's LA. Come on. Like, they enjoy baseball. Are they rabid fans? No. They're not the same as in Philly. It's a tougher environment than the average one, but it's not in that upper echelon of tough places to play because it's California baseball. People enjoy it until the ninth inning, and then it's, no, well, let's go catch a movie. Oh, let's go to the beach. Oh, let's go, I don't know, Hollywood. This is not that. When this game is over, it's sit in the stands for an hour because we have nothing else to do. It's life or death. Philadelphia baseball is life or death. Actually, I'll use a line from Welcome to Wrexham, the new show with Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds. And there's a line from someone who supports the soccer team, the Welsh soccer team that they purchased, which is the point of the documentary. It says, this isn't life or death, like football, meaning soccer, but we'll say baseball in this sense, isn't life or death. It's more than that. It's more important than that. It means more than that. That's basically what sports are to Philadelphia here. They don't have that out on the West Coast. So for that reason, they're walking into the San Diego Padres, the toughest environment they're going to have to have played in all year, and probably the toughest environment that those players will play in their entire lives. I don't care if they go to Houston for the World Series. Maybe if they have to go to the Bronx Zoo in New York, it'll be close. I still think Philly's the better fan base. Listen, like, what more do I need to tell you? That's the expectation you have to live up to. The Eagles do not play this weekend. Friday, Saturday, Sunday is Phillies. The Sixers are just getting started. The Flyers are just getting started. The Union are in a playoff game, but they're a soccer team, and I wish them all the best. No slight to the Union, but it's not the same thing as the Phillies. So you have one team to put your energy on right now. Spend your money. Go down to the ballpark. Watch a championship series game or two or three, and ruin your lungs for the rest of your life by screaming as loud as you can at the San Diego Padres. Make it impossible, not just uncomfortable, make it impossible to play here for the San Diego Padres, and make sure that the Philadelphia Phillies and the San Diego Padres do not get back on a plane. No more West Coast. No more heading out there. The furthest I want the Philadelphia Phillies to travel the rest of this year is Houston. The closest I want them to travel the rest of this year is New York. And I don't want heading back to San Diego to be part of the equation, because I want this fan base to make an absolute difference, just like they did against the Braves. I know you're fully capable of it. I know you're not going to wait around for something good to happen to cheer like they did in San Diego. And I firmly believe that this fan base is going to make a huge difference in the next 3 games. Could mean 1 win, could mean 2 wins, could mean 3 wins. But if there are wins at home, and I do firmly believe there will be wins at home, the Philadelphia Phillies will not lose all 3 games and get swept out like that in 4 straight games following game 1 win. Those games and those wins are going to be largely, not majorly, not a majority, but a large portion of it's going to be attributed to the fan base and the environment they created. I'm excited to see what you got in you, Philly. It was a vintage performance against the Braves from a fan perspective, and now the level's up. Challenge accepted. We'll talk about the X's and O's and everything like that when we get into tomorrow's preview of Game 3 of the NLCS. But that's my challenge to you. Make it an uncomfortable place to play. That's all my time for today's Locked On Phillies. I want to thank you for making Locked On Phillies your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. Now make your next listen Locked On MLB. Paul Francis Sully is covering the Major League Baseball playoffs, giving you league perspective on everything. He's available wherever you get your podcast, Odyssey app, YouTube, all of that. Check out his work on Locked On MLB. Absolutely awesome work by Sully. That's all my time. I got to get settled in. It's off night. Rest, relax, and again, get ready to scream your lungs out down at Citizens Bank Park tomorrow. It's going to be a fun one. I will talk to you then on the next Locked On Phillies.